All right, welcome back, everybody. As promised, I'm finally returning after a little bit of a break over the weekend. Sorry, I was a little slackery, what with the holidays going down, and actually I had to play a gig in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, so I was on the road a little bit, but I'm back, and going to continue the Laserdisc collection. Thanks for everybody who's been watching the other videos and commenting on them and sharing them. Wicked cool. So nice to meet all you. And in fact, just got involved in the Laserdisc Forever group on Facebook, and you guys are wicked cool. So shout outs to all of you, and many, many more shout outs to come. But I'll get into the bulk of the Criterion discs, which is the next part of my collection I'm going to delve into before going into the A to Z. And a mix of these are old discs that I had purchased back when I was first collecting Laserdiscs, and then a bunch of them were ones I picked up recently after I kind of kick-started my Laserdisc collection bug again. And I realized there were so many titles that I wanted to get way back when. Just didn't either have the coin to or the wherewithal. So now I'm kind of trying to fill in my gaps a little bit. And some of these films I already have on Blu-ray or DVD or whatever, but there's something cool about the Criterion Collection boxes, so... or the non-boxes, actually. I'm just looking at a box right now. I will be doing a box set selection after this, so I'm not going to really dig into the nitty-gritty on the few box sets I do have. I'll just show you the cover and the backside. And then on the next video, I'll kind of dig through and show you all the pamphlets and handwritten notes or whatever. Actually, they didn't have handwritten notes, but they had little notes and things like that in early editions of Criterion Collection discs. If you hadn't heard of the Criterion Collection... you probably have if you're a film collector, because they're available on DVD and Blu-ray as well. But it was this cooperation between the archives of Janus Films and this group that decided to bring about the best possible presentations of important films, or what they considered a Criterion of the film world in the home video market. So you were able to get Hitchcock films and films that were deserved to be treated with a little bit of reverence and respect. And then they were pretty much also the progenitors of extras and commentary tracks and everything that's kind of been usurped into the world of modern day video and stuff like that. So it's hilarious now that you have horrible trashy teen sex movies that have these big commentary tracks on them, when that's kind of just taken from the land of Criterion. But we tear through my relatively small Criterion collection. This one I picked up recently. I own this on a number of different formats, and also a lot of these old box sets are really hard to find in good condition. I don't know if that's a testament to the watchability and rewatchability of these films, or the fact that Criterion boxes are just made like crap, but they're usually always beat to hell, and it's hard to get a really nice looking copy of some of these things. In fact, even back in the 90s, some of these boxes I was looking for, if you found them used, they'd always be like sitting on a shelf with rubber bands around them, because the edges of the boxes would be all splayed open and beat on. But I did pick up a couple quality titles that I've been looking for a long time recently. 2001: A Space Odyssey being one. There may be a little bit of speckling on it. I watched it not too long ago, but definitely not enough to cause problems. Really nice release. Back in the 80s, they were using 3M as a plant for a lot of their releases, and 3M's notorious for having some laser rot issues during a certain pressing period. But it still looks pretty solid. I mean, for an old disc, it looks really, really nice. And how many sides? 6 sides altogether. Some nice extras on there, and it doesn't double dip into the other 2001 box set that I have. So it's kind of a nice little counterpart to that. So I finally picked that up, which was worth it. This is also nearly impossible to find in good condition. It's usually beat to hell. I swear people... maybe there was some sort of national sport where you kicked this around, or threw it like a frisbee. But I don't remember, Blade Runner Criterion Frisbee Toss being a big thing, but apparently it was, because it's really hard to find a nice copy. I, unfortunately, never had it back in the day. I always had the 90s director's cut that came out. But I did recently just find a nice version of the CAV gatefold version of Blade Runner. And it's a gorgeous disc. It's very nice to look at. Though, I mean, it does have the kind of Criterion for a while they would just this one actually has a poster art, but for a while they'd just have a random photo from the movie and just a kind of bland font up there. So it doesn't have the cool Blade Runner font, but that said, it's still a sweet release. And 4 sides, a decent amount of supplementals, including a lot of stuff about Sid Mead's concepts and a lot of really cool still frame stuff on there. So these didn't have 2001: A Blade Runner didn't have commentary tracks. It was kind of before that was a little bit more of a mainstay, but still definitely worth picking up if you're a fan of Blade Runner for sure. I think I'm almost on the cusp of starting to order like all the weird like Japanese versions of Blade Runner. I don't know why. It's probably not a healthy thing for me to be doing, but I think I might do it. All right, these I had to hunt down a little bit, and were definitely hot on my list for a while. If you know me, you know that I am a huge James Bond fan. James Bond freak. James Bond is like up there with air and water for like personal things for my survival. So I did have, don't tell anybody, some rips of these releases. And I'm sure if you're a Criterion fan, you know what I'm about to show you. This is the first Dr. No. These are the original CAV releases of the films. The first 3 Sean Connery Bond films were released with commentary tracks, and they're a bit notorious because the commentary tracks were very freewheeling, freeform, and the Eon crew, the production company, weren't too thrilled with some of the, I guess, frank nature of the comments, and these were torn off the shelves and re-released as CLV versions with no extras at all. So it's nice to be able to find the old ones with the commentary tracks. It does have a bunch of extras too, including some goofy stuff. Apparently there was a company called Bond Bread, and they had all these like Bond spoof commercials. The only thing some of these older Criterion discs is kind of annoying is they'd throw supplemental material at the end of individual sides. It took them a while to learn their lesson that you should really like backload all the supplementals and put it at the end of everything. So it kind of disturbs the flow of the film, especially if you're having people over to watch. You're like, and if you have a flipper player, it's still going to be annoying when you get to the end of the disc and there's a bread commercial and you're like, I gotta get past this first. Some other discs, there's a reason for that being cool. This one, not so much. And yeah, they have the cool, like when you buy an important book, it always has the first printing on there. But in the case of these, I don't think there really were any other printings per se. There's just the CLV counterparts. And collecting Criterion can get a lot confusing, actually, between the CAV and CLV versions. The spine numbers sometimes would be the same, and they just throw an A at the end for the CLV version. Or in the case of Blade Runner, they're just totally different spine numbers altogether. But if you see them online, the covers almost look identical, and you really have to kind of do a little bit of a digging if the seller doesn't really know that much about it, and sometimes they say it's a gatefold and it's not, and so buyer beware, definitely, when you're looking for these. Can't have Dr. No without throwing down the rest of the series, so From Mush With Love, I picked that up next. Also has a commentary track and some cool supplementals. Obviously not touching the stuff that's available on Blu-ray now, but these are awesome little counterparts and nice to have. I've got these, I've got some of the Laserdiscs, I've got the DVD sets with all the extras there, and of course now the Blu-ray, so I can't have enough James Bond material. But really cool. I like the interesting just kind of like photo montage and the kind of pencil drawing there, which they gave up on the third release, Goldfinger, where they actually used a photo of Sean Connery. But this again, CAV, spread across 4 sides with all the commentary tracks and everything. First printing 1991. So yeah, highly recommend picking these up if you are a Criterion fan. This is spine number 132. I should have said the spine numbers like Cessna Ace. Shout outs to Cessna Ace. He's the man with the information. This I picked up, and if I remember correctly, this was delayed quite often. I remember seeing this in one of those image kind of Laserdisc booklets you would get for free at Suncoast or whatever, and it would have the release dates of upcoming Criterion titles. And I remember this getting pushed back, and I do remember it getting bumped up in price as well. I think by the time I picked it up, when it finally came out in either 95, 96 maybe, it was about $145, I do believe. But Terry Gilliam's Brazil, and this isn't quite the monumental piece of epic video that it was back in the day, because of course there was a very nice DVD set that was released, and you can get pretty much all the same material. But as a Brazil fan, this was nuts. Brazil is a film that was cut different ways. There was an American cut. There was even a horrible TV cut. And it took a while for the international cut, which had a much longer denouement, or ending. And it finally hit the kind of art film circuit where I was able to see it. But this is my first chance having it on home video. I did have for a while the Universal home video, or the MCA home video version with the American cut as well. But this has all of them, even the horrible Love Conquers All TV cut. And it's a gorgeous release. It's heavy as hell, tons of discs, and it's got a great counterpart to the Battle of Brazil book, a kind of video documentary about it. Cool commentary track from Terry Gilliam. It really is the ultimate special edition for Brazil, and was worth every penny. So yeah, amazing stuff there. This is one of those discs I actually saw at Laser Craze and almost bought used, but it was so beat up. It was the one that had the rubber band around it because it was such a piece of crap. And this CAV set, I think, has been released in a number of different fashions, including a triple gatefold version. But I recently picked up the Close Encounters of the Third Kind box, even though, of course, I have the beautiful Blu-ray box and the whatever anniversary edition, the double disc DVD that came out. So, but it's one of those films that's highly collectible for me. And this transfer actually looks really nice. There is a bit of speckling. Again, this is from that, I believe, 3M period of Criterion. But, oh, the box is wrong. Let's fix that. I'm sorry. I gotta show the back correctly. Who did that? Oh, it was probably me. I was probably watching it while I was sleeping. Anyways. But yes, the back split across a bunch of different sides, and it does have some of the supplementals at the end of each side. But in this case, it's kind of cool because the supplementals are the extended scenes from the special edition. So you can actually program your remote to play the film the way you want it. In this case, I think I'll open it up because there is a little note that it came with that tells you the sequence of how to program it if you want to watch it as either the theatrical version or the special edition. And they had this little insert that breaks down the scenes of the special edition and the normal one. So I kind of give them a break for splitting up the flow of the film, because then at least you can program it to watch it the way you want to watch it. But it's not a seamless branching like with DVD or with Blu-ray. It's going to be a bit of a pause while your player jumps over to the track. This next release also has some similar digital wizardry, which really is kind of the precursor to nowadays, with ever since DVD hit, this seamless branching. But they were kind of pushing the envelope, and I was a huge fan of this film, and I had the Columbia special edition version, but I can never quite dig up a copy of this back in the day. And this one's a little shop worn. Unfortunately, I'd still like to get a mint copy, but still in pretty nice shape. And it's a super gatefold of Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula. Huge fan of this, and really killer release. And this was considered the benchmark release at the time. I remember Siskel and Ebert going nuts about it on at the movies, and or sneak previews, whatever they called it back then. But one of the special features, there's a great commentary track and etc. But one of the cool special features is a scene from the film that you have a bunch of raw footage from the editing dailies, and you can edit together your own version of the scene by writing down your favorite takes and then programming your remote on your player to play it back the way you want to see it. So that was pretty cool, and it was definitely groundbreaking for special features. And other than that, yeah, just looks great. It's a little bit different transfer than the Columbia version as well, but really cool. The one thing Columbia has that this does not is it has a really cool HBO making of documentary in full, whereas there's only a portion of it on this release, but highly worth picking up. This is something I picked up in the demise of the Laserdisc days. Ken Cranes out on the West Coast would sometimes have some killer titles for really cheap, and I picked up The English Patient for like $6 or something ridiculous like that. It's a nice release. Anthony Minghella commentary with a lot of other cool television spots and documentary and all sorts of cool things like that. So definitely worth picking up. It's a double disc gatefold if you're a fan of the English Patient. Haha. This I wish I had picked up in 1994. And likewise, it's really hard to find a copy that's not beat to hell. It doesn't help that the gatefold jacket is black, so it picks up every little nick, and every little tear. Everything just stands out. But I found a pretty pristine copy of it recently. John Carpenter's Halloween. And the commentary track is available on the first Blu-ray release of the film, but there's still some other great extras. A lot of still frame moments and information about serial killers in films and slasher films. And great looking transfer. Oh man. And this is just, you just want to put this on the wall, or though I'm not really into the whole framing my lasers. I like to have them in my library to see, but this is worth like standing up against something and letting people check it out. Sadly, this is the CLV version. I actually found this at a tag sale. One of those like little community tag sales where a housing area just had everybody drag stuff out onto their lawn and go nuts. And one guy was an ex-Laserdisc enthusiast looking to get rid of his collection. And I kind of cherry-picked a few things out of it, including the Criterion RoboCop for like, I don't know, $3 or something like that. So it was totally worth it. It looks great, and it has, the violent cut of the film. But that said, now I kind of want the CAV version, so I'll probably have to upgrade at some point. But it's worth having. This release, I was freaking out about. Huge fan of the film. Huge fan of the film. Saw it multiple times in the theater. And at the time, I used to lament the fact that Criterion discs usually came out after their kind of regular domestic Laserdisc counterparts had been released. So a film would come out, and then a year or two later, there'd be the Criterion Special Edition. But in the case of this film, I guess David Fincher, even though he had only directed one other film before this, had enough credit to his name that he merited a Criterion Collection day and date with the other releases from New Line Cinema. And this is one of 2 copies I have of this box set. And I went out and picked it up. I pre-ordered it from Suncoast. Got it, I think it was like $125 first weekend, but 7. Gorgeous set, and was also the transfer was specially created using the silver retention method that he wanted to use to kind of change the tonality of the film and the look of it, but wasn't able to do for every print. So this was kind of painstakingly brought to video, and lots of special features. Great commentary track, which I don't think has been reproduced on DVD or Blu-ray, and lots of great extras on there as well. I've watched this tons and tons of time. I think there's some versions with laser rot, but I think this one looks pretty decent. I've got 2 copies of it. One that's in a little bit better shape, though it does have a little bit of a tear on the spine here. That's the only problem with the box, is with the overlapping spine here, is that if you pulled the box up and too far, it would just rip right there. But I do like these better than the kind of full takeoff boxes, because those tend to warp easier and look nasty after a while. This flick I actually watched when I was in San Francisco, and then I was at a media play, and again, towards the end of the Laserdisc era, and found it pretty cheap and picked it up. Scott Hicks's Shine with Jeffrey Rush. Really intense film, and good Rachmaninoff jams. Good thing to crank up really loud. So, yeah, it was definitely a worthy flick, and some cool extras, good commentary track on there as well. This I picked up for my friend's lot when he gave me his Laserdisc player and all his collection. It was definitely worth picking up. I had never gotten it back in the day. I think he used to go for like $100 or so, but the CAV version of The Silence of the Lambs. And yeah, really nice release. I just actually watched this a couple months ago, and good transfer, good extras, again, about serial killers. John Douglas, the guy that Scott Glenn's character is based on, the kind of one of the FBI progenitors of serial killer profiling and all that, is quite into the special features of this film. He's in quite a bit. I think he's on some of the commentary tracks, and yeah, really solid flick, worth picking up. This one again, I got from that lot from my friend, and I kind of wish I had the box set. Silverado. For some reason, I had never seen this back in the 80s, even though my friend kept recommending it to me. but it was a cool Western from Lawrence Kasdan, so the guy, tied in with the whole kind of Lucas Spielberg world, and obviously he did The Big Chill too, but don't hold that against him. This also has Kevin Costner, but don't hold that against him. But no, cool cast, speaking of Scott Glenn, and yeah, I don't know, it's just a lot of fun, and got a lot of piss and vinegar, good verve, and it wasn't until the 90s that I really got into Westerns again, with the kind of the 90s heyday with, your Tombstones, etc. But I was kind of a fool for missing this back in the 80s. This is one of those rare occasions where you have a gatefold, but it's only one disc. Trainspotting, another film I saw tons of times, at least 4 times at the theater, even though it's a lot more focused on the comedy than the novel by Irvine Welsh was. That had a little bit more darker elements to it. Not to say that this is bereft of darkness. There's still some nasty stuff in it. But yes, Scottish guys involved in the world of heroin. And there's even a cool insert in here that has a glossary of all the Scottish slang terms and everything. So, yeah, really cool release, and definitely worth picking up. I think it's AC3 as well. And this one I got from my friend's pile, and I'd meant to watch this for a long time. Nicholas Regg's Walkabout. And I remember this playing at the local art house cinema, and wanted to go check this out. And Jenny Agutter, and I forgot who the kid was, and this one Aboriginal guy just cruising around Australia and having a walkabout. It's supposed to be a really good flick, so I'm looking forward to firing that out. So that's it for my Criterions. As I mentioned before, I'm going to get into the box sets, including the box sets that were in here, and I'll tear them out a little bit and kind of dig into the nitty-gritty, and then we'll get into the A through Z. So thanks again for watching. Thanks for all the cool comments, and it's super awesome meeting all these other Laserdisc aficionados out there. I'm glad to be in such good company, and I'll see you shortly for another video. Thanks for hanging out.